What's going on, guys? I'm back with another game talk video, and today's game is going to be Elden Ring. And not specifically Elden Ring PvE, but Elden Ring PvP. You guys saw my stats, you could rewind and look at them if you want, but I'm basically rocking a pure arcane build, and I'm using the Regalia of Eochaid. I'm just testing it out, a sword and shield build right now, and I'm playing against my friend who's over level 100, over level 200. He's gonna pull out a variety of things since his build basically, or his level allows him to do it. He doesn't really have a build at this point. He's over level 200, so yeah. But today's game talk video is not going to be about the gameplay or PvP, but it's mostly going to be about my Elden Ring experience. Yes, my Elden Ring experience. So I have beaten this game, and my first playthrough took about 88 hours. Now 88 hours is kind of what I thought to be low at the time, because a lot of people on YouTube were saying that it was taking them around 150 hours, and some of the people I knew that got the game on launch, like I did, were saying that it took them over 100 hours to get through what they really wanted to do in their first playthrough. But I found that I was already running out of things to do around the 80-hour mark, and I was kind of just using my final hours to beat the final bosses. But yeah, overall my experience was pleasant. I think that this game is amazing. The vast open world and new mechanics that make this game feel fresh, and a good evolution of what was already there in previous games. There's a horse, there's jumping, and it's just a good evolution of the Souls formula. But overall, I would say that this game isn't perfect. I think there's a lot of things that make this game worse than, maybe Dark Souls, but there's a lot of things that make this game amazing. But by the end of it, I was kind of having some open world fatigue and a bit of Elden Ring fatigue, because this game is absolutely massive. I'm the type of person that actually likes a little bit of linearity in games, because the pacing can be helped a lot. An open world game could have you wandering for hours without not exactly having an objective, but some people do like that. In the right mindset, I do like that, but when your whole game is just that, it could be paced a little bit poorly. I feel like a lot of this game was bloat, and honestly there's a lot of options of things to do that made me feel a little bit overwhelmed. Not to mention that the major areas in this game kind of take the openness very seriously. There are level-like instances, but at the same time these levels are massive, and I'm kind of just specifically talking about the capital, Leyndell, here, because Leyndell is, I don't know, the first time I got there I was insanely overwhelmed about how many places to go and how large it was, and generally just like what to do. I was overwhelmed and feel like I didn't really want to tackle the level. Sure, there are linear segments of the level, and once you kind of get to the boss you kind of just understand where to go, but you've basically already finished the level, and it feels like you have a lot left on the table. But I don't know, that's just me. A lot of people do really like openness in games, but I feel like some linearity could help, especially how Dark Souls doesn't really have that much openness. I mean, it is an open world game, but to a sandbox, it really isn't a sandbox game. It's more like a game that has a lot of linear levels that's in a world that's fully interconnected. That's not exactly an open world. And overall, I kind of do prefer the Dark Souls world more than I do the Elden Ring world, because I just feel like the pacing was better. Even though Elden Ring is a way bigger game and a way longer game, I feel like the formula they could have taken more from Dark Souls' philosophy of building the world, because pacing here I don't feel like was particularly amazing. Now, another thing about the game that I personally didn't like too much was the bosses. Specifically, the amount of gank bosses in this game is just out of this world. There's just too many 2-on-1 fights, and also too many reoccurring enemy fights that just add another one. So like, for example, you fight Godskin Noble and Godskin Apostle like one at a time, but then you add them together and they don't really feel like synergized, you know? It just feels like too much aggression piled up against the player. And apart from gank bosses, I also hate bosses that just don't stop attacking and also do not stop aggressing you and don't give you any time to breathe. One of the best examples of that is Horaloo and Godfrey. Godfrey sure has some cooldown times, but he keeps dashing at you, he keeps slamming and doing combos and backstep combos and stuff. And then when he gets into Horaloo phase, he does not stop aggressing and also trying to grab you and kill you with massive damage. And then when he gets into the stomping Earth Shatter phase, it's just insane. But yeah, what can you do? It's almost like the people who are saying that the major gimmick of this game is to summon for boss fights so that you could split aggro, but that's not really a great way to solve that problem of over aggressive and very unpunishable bosses. Because it, like, what if there's people that want to play the game without summoning? What if people want to play the game solo and they want to do the dance of the boss fight? It's not exactly fun when the boss has so many options to mix you up timing wise and just keep you on the defensive for you to only get one hit for a punish. It's not exactly fun. And I feel like a slower paced game like Dark Souls 1 helps make that dance more fun because the bosses have just as much cooldown as you do, basically. You don't see bosses in Dark Souls 1 doing 3-hit combo into delay swing into another 2-hit combo. You see them usually do a combo and it takes their stamina away and they have to recover for you to get a couple hits in and then go back on the defensive. When the defensive phase is just a lot, then it just takes the engagement out of the fun, or it takes the engagement out of the fight. That's just me. Some people probably do really like the Elden Ring boss design, but me personally, I wish the bosses I just wish they were less aggressive, and I wish there was more punish window, and overall, I just wish that there was more synergy in gank boss fights. You know, it's not particularly fun to fight Godskin Duo, even though I didn't think that boss fight was particularly hard. I just didn't think that they really had much synergy, and I didn't feel like they were fair at times. It was just more like you have to kill one so that the boss fight is easier. I don't know. But overall, this game is good, but there's just some gripes that I have with it. Another thing that I have gripes with is this Elden Ring community here. So I'm just going to talk a quick bit about some multiplayer things that I've seen. You know, this is a PvP video, so I'm just going to talk about some PvP flaws that I think are in this game. One thing is that there is still latency in this game, and spells have never been as good as they've been ever. Incantations and intelligence builds really do use spells that are unavoidable, like Stars of Ruin or that Elden Beast thing. I don't even know what it's called because I haven't really explored much casting in this game because I hate playing that way. But it seems like a lot of things are unavoidable damage, and that doesn't really feel fun, especially in latency. Spells in latency are just very hard to dodge, like Honed Bolt or Lightning Bolt, Ash of War. I know that's not really a spell, but it's like Honed Bolt. It's the same exact thing. And then there's Swarm Flies, which is hard to dodge with latency because you might get hit with it. And overall, spells and lag. You know, it's like spamming fireballs in a fighting game with lag. It's not fun. Unavoidable damage is never fun. And another thing about PvP that's kind of crazy, and you guys saw a little bit of it earlier, was bleed. Now I'm rocking an arcane build, and earlier I was using the dual S-stock with Seppuku and Seppuku Twin Blade, and you saw I was bleeding them in one hit. in reality, I shouldn't really be bleeding them as fast because in latency, even if I don't get a registered hit with damage, if I hit them, I'm still bleeding. I'm still building bleed bar, which is crazy. And that's not just with bleed; it's also with frost and poison too. So that's another thing that I feel like should try to be fixed. I know that could be very hard to fix because this game is not exactly built for PvP, and also latency is not. I don't think it's really a factor in this game. You know, this is not like a debate of netcode or not, or whatnot. But that's just something that kind of annoys me, and that's something that I take advantage of at least, but it's annoying to be on the receiving end of such tactics like bleed and frost proccing. But yeah. And one of the biggest gripes that I have with Elden Ring PvP is overpowered Ashes of War that don't take much skill or mind to use FP. And the biggest one, I'm pretty sure everyone thinks this, is Bloodhound Step. There's no reason why Bloodhound Step takes so little FP and also teleports you so far from the opponent's attacks with no cooldown and so much invincibility frames. It's insane. Invaders who use Bloodhound Step and sorceries could run away forever, especially in the open world. And I've run into some occasions where Bloodhound Stepping sorcerers ran into enemy camps for help to kill me, and that's not very fun. It's very toxic, and I feel like Bloodhound Step should be either nerfed or, well, I believe it should be completely deleted out of the game. Yeah, that's not a common, that's not an uncommon opinion for sure. I know Ouroboros says that too. Just a quick couple things about online is that fashion is not incentivized. You see a lot of people rocking the same veterans and the same bull goats, and obviously you see my build. I'm rocking the bull goats gauntlets. If you can't really see them, I am, and also the bull goats leggings. They're hiding under the dress there. I am a female character, but that's only because I'm trying to get that 61 poise breakpoint, and it's not there's not many armor pieces that get you to that 61 poise with good fashion. You see a lot of people wearing the same things, and it's just not cool anymore to be fashionable because it just doesn't give you the poise. Like in Dark Souls 1, sure, 0 poise was pretty bad, but there was the Wolf Ring, which gave you 40 poise off the bat to help you with fashion, and then you could just wear one high poise armor piece, and then you could rock whatever fashion you want. But in this game, the Bull Goat's Talisman is pretty bad. It doesn't give you that much poise on return for taking a talisman spot. So yeah. Otherwise, I think PvP is pretty cool. Too many of the same things, too many strong spells, too many bleed builds. But overall, I think that if you find some good friends to play the game with, you'll have fun. And yeah, that's been Elden Ring Game Talk. That was the last fight, so yeah, I'll catch you guys next time on the next Game Talk video. Peace.